Hello folks, you're on the Desert Adventures YouTube channel. This video is sponsored by Apogee Performance Racing. Apogee Performance Racing offers professional off-road coaching for riders of all skills, especially if you're a dual sport or adventure bike rider. We want to help you out. Whether you're having trouble holding momentum in sand, or getting stuck, or getting through some loose rocks or embedded rocks, I can help you out with my coaching. Go to apogeeperformanceracing.com and click on the coaching link or contact link. That's right, folks. Apogee Performance Racing is now offering coaching by me. Just a little bit about myself and my riding experience. I've been riding dirt bikes for over 32 years now. Since I was 6 years old, dirt bikes have been my obsession, and pretty much everything I think about when I wasn't being forced to do or think about something different. I've ridden in many different terrains all over the United States, including the deserts of the Southwest, the Cascade Mountains in the woods, the Rocky Mountains, hollers of Appalachia, and even some of the Florida swamps. I've got riding experience in pretty much every terrain there is, and many different types of racing, including hard enduros, sprint enduros, hare scrambles, and motocross. And to touch on the hard enduros again, I've actually raced the Red Bull Tennessee Knockout, Red Bull TKO, 2 years. 2022, Red Bull TKO 1 finisher, placed 52nd out of over 500 riders. I try to race still to this day at least a couple enduros and hare scrambles a year, and I have a goal next year that I want to race legacy racing. I would like to race this XR600 in the Ironman class at the Baja Nevada race. It's the longest race in the United States, and I'd like to take this 600 and make it happen. So my point is, I've got plenty of experience and enthusiasm that I would love to help share with newer riders or more experienced riders that just want to build their confidence and skill set in rough terrain, like this stuff that I'm riding right here. I've seen a lot of riders, especially dual sport riders, they think, well, I'm just going to be taking graded dirt roads, or, and then they take this other trail that says it's okay on the map or says it's okay on some internet site that they looked at, and they get on the trail and it's not okay, and even sometimes you get on a trail and it's something like this. Well, if you don't have the skill set to at least turn your bike around and ride back out of the hole you just dropped into, or something like that, it could get you into trouble. So it's worth going and getting some extra coaching, getting some extra training. That way you've got the skill set to ride wherever, not just you want to go, but where you need to go, so you don't find yourself stuck out in the middle of nowhere. Speaking of being stuck in the middle of nowhere, that's another great thing about the Apogee Performance training area, is at our training area, we've got a rock garden where you can practice how to ride the bike through the rocks and hold momentum, and how to get unstuck if you do get stuck in the rocks, all in a controlled environment. And even if you do get stuck or your bike falls over, you got help picking it up. And we can go over on how techniques to pick up a larger bike easier. That way you don't hurt yourself or damage your bike in the process. Other skills you'll get to work on are going to be slick corner, flat turns. And you get to work on obstacle crossings such as logs, pipes, ditches, and holes as well, because it's important to know what to do and how to react when you come up on these things at high speed in the desert. It's also important to know things such as don't outrun your eyesight, which is another thing we're going to learn, of course. You should never be going faster than you have time to respond to said obstacles you're coming up on. And those are just a small amount of the things that we can go over and learn when you take the course. These courses can be adjusted to your skill set as well. Before we start these courses, we're going to do a rider assessment and to see where you stand, because I don't want to be trying to teach a experienced rider or an intermediate rider beginner stuff that they don't need to know if they're already showing that they have the skill set. And there's also no reason to take a beginner and an absolute beginner and try and make them go through a rock garden that they just don't have the skill set to go through. So the goal of the course is to improve your personal skills that day. We also offer deals if you have friends that are on a similar skill set to you. We can teach up to 2 and 3 riders at a time. So for dirt bike coaching, go to apogeeperformanceracing.com. Click the link in the description below. And enough of that stuff. Look at that view. I love these rides when you start getting up into the mountains and the whole scenic view changes, goes from desert up into the junipers and a few pines. And this trail is chunky enough, it keeps it nice and entertaining all the way up. Some of the rocks are embedded, and most of them are moving around underneath you, so it keeps you working for your ride. It's a fun ride. You definitely don't want to go too far to the right. It's quite the drop-off over there. But regardless, it's a good time either way. It leads all the way up to the top of the cliffs here that you see, and you get a nice view all the way out into the desert valley. And we'll also get a good view of a few prickly pear blooms on the way up as well. They should be giving us some good prickly pears this year. Come out and make some prickly pear jam. And they're saying on the weather that this year is supposed to be a super El Nino, or at least a strong El Nino. So we're hoping down here in the desert southwest it brings us some extra monsoons and heavy rains. That'll swell our prickly pears out quite nicely. We'll have some nice fat pears. You can never complain about being able to come harvest some food when you're on your dirt bike. That's just one of the many things I love about riding off-road and riding dirt bikes. You get to come across all sorts of stuff that most people just don't even see. Whether it be prickly pears down here in Arizona, or up in the Pacific Northwest when I lived in Washington. In the fall, not the fall, but late summer, we would go harvest blackberries and blueberries and huckleberries. We'd also get to go harvest mushrooms at different times of the year, depending on the mushrooms. Gotta love that. Well, we should actually just talk about that. Things that I love about off-road riding, dirt bike riding. We'll touch on the things that you get to see, besides just different food that you get to harvest that isn't normal down in the cities, isn't normal down just next to paved roads. Let's talk about the critters. I get to see all sorts of cool critters that I otherwise just normally don't get to see. Antelope, mule deer down here in Arizona. Up in the Pacific Northwest, got to see big, huge Roosevelt elk all the time. They had some nice deer there. You just get to see all sorts of critters that, you see in other places, but you don't get to see nearly as much of as when you're out on a bike. You get to see scenes like this, It's pretty epic scenery getting to see that many miles out into the valley floor and the dry lake bed, across to the mountains and Grand Wash cliffs. It's beautiful. Another thing I love about dirt bike riding is just the complete adrenaline rush, the rush that it can provide. Not many things in the world that can provide the same type of exhilaration that riding a bike off-road can. Riding a dirt bike is extremely exhilarating while simultaneously being extremely mentally calming. And I can't think of many other activities that do that besides perhaps snowboarding. It's not just mentally calming and good for your mental health, it's also extremely good for your physical health. It's great exercise. It's good cardio. It keeps your heart up in the upper zones depending on how hard you're riding. And that's your minutes of cardio. If you don't run, but you ride a dirt bike, and you ride at a quick enough pace to bring your heart rate up, that's great exercise. It's also working all sorts of muscles that you would otherwise not use in your core, the hell out of your legs and your glutes if you're standing and you're riding off-road like you should be. It works the hell out of your shoulders, arms. It's just a great full body workout, and it's really good for you mentally and physically. And I could sit honestly talk about how much I love dirt bikes and every reason I love dirt bikes for hours and hours. But if you watched my videos before, you know that I try to leave at least a couple minutes of just raw riding footage at the end of each video. So I'm going to end this video here. I appreciate you all watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Desert Adventures YouTube channel.